I'm Nate Butler with Comix35, based in the USA, and our ministry trains people to produce their own comics for their own people in their own languages for the purposes of evangelism and discipleship. Now, when I talk about comics, a lot of times people have various ideas. They may think of a favorite comic like Naruto or Tintin or something like that, but really, when I speak about comics, I want people to think in much bigger than just comics in that way. I want people to think about comics as a series of pictures that tell a story or make a point, that any series of pictures that tell a story or make a point. Really what I'm talking about when I talk about comics is I'm talking about visual storytelling. So I want to tell you 7 really super cool things about comics that, and if there are a series of pictures that tell a story or make a point, they've been around a long time. If you've been to Teotihuacan in Mexico and seen the pyramids, the walls, the jaguar murals on the walls, or if you've seen the Lachish reliefs in Syria, any number of places around the world, you've seen comics. The Bayeux Tapestry in France. People have been using visual storytelling for a long time to tell messages. Another really cool thing, super cool thing about comics is they're widely read in the 1040 window. A lot of people think it's hard to reach the 1040 window, but comics are very, very popular there among Buddhists and Hindus and even Muslims. Muslims are not iconophobic in the way we think of. They love visuals, and a lot of comics are very big sellers there. Another great thing about comics is that they're appealing to children and youth. This is kind of a given for a lot of people, but when you look at Africa, where so many, like 25% or it's more than that, I forget. I'm a comics guy, I'm not a numbers guy, but anyway, huge numbers of Africans are very young and they're visual, and comics really pull them in. Another really cool thing about comics is that they're accessible, portable, reviewable, very easy to hand one off to somebody. They roll it up, stick it in their pocket, and they can take it home. The comics are also used around the world by governments to convey information. In the Philippines, in Mexico for elections, in China they're used for all sorts of purposes to convey information to people. Also, comics engage both sides of the brain. Print and text are processed in the brain in completely different ways. The visuals of comics really draw people in a way that other literature doesn't. And the most important thing is comics are used around the world to convey life and death information. When you look at your airline safety card, or you look at quite often fire prevention or fire escape posters in lobbies of buildings, they're comics. They're a series of pictures that tell a story or make a point. So this is why Comix35 finds comics so important to use around the world, and that's our mission.